Say it.
Now that Iran is so weak, isn't it the right time to hit their nuclear facilities once and for all?
So you say Iran is so weak. I appreciate you saying that. They're not weak. They're very strong right now, and we're not going to allow them to have a nuclear weapon. It's very simple.
Israel bet on a disarming first strike. Mossad took a special role. The neutralization of Iranian air defense, aviation, and ground-to-ground missiles was reconnaissance. According to Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, special service officers did an excellent job to eliminate the existing layers of protection. Officially, West Jerusalem does not specify how exactly this was done. According to the Israeli media, high-precision weapons and drones were used. Some of the weapons were delivered with special forces groups, and the drones hit Iran long before the start of the operation and waited for their time. This is confirmed by many Iranian media. Trucks carrying explosives and drones were detained in different regions of the country after the start of the Israeli operation. Having eliminated the main threat to its fighters, Israel tried to behead the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, or the IRGC, and the Ministry of Defense with the help of aircraft that struck Tehran. In the first hours, the victims of Israeli attacks were the commander of the IRGC, Hossein Salami, the chief of the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Iran, Mohammad Bagheri, as well as nuclear scientists. In the following days, Tehran confirmed the death of 9 more high-ranking military officials, IRGC leaders. After that, Israel launched massive strikes on the objects of the Iranian nuclear program, and almost until the evening, the IDF Air Force was in the airspace over the Middle East. On the first day, 200 fighters were used, using 330 different ammunition. According to the representative of the Israel Defense Forces, Efi Defrin, they managed to hit more than 100 targets. What kind of weapons Israel used is not known for sure. IDF has a wide range of different air-to-ground missiles of its own production. Dalila, Icebreaker, Sky Sniper, Rampage, AGM-142 AVNAP, as well as American AGM-88 HARM, AIM-120, and AMRAAM. In addition to them, there is a large number of different bombs weighing up to 2,300 kilograms designed to destroy bunkers. The family of ballistic missiles Jericho is also in service, but there is no confirmed information about their launches. Despite the scale of the strike, Iran was able to give an answer. Moreover, the first attack was powerful enough to break through the Israel air defense. Even the IDF confirmed that just over half of the approximately 200 missiles launched were intercepted. The military, of course, said that the rest fell in open spaces, but the testimonies from the field paint a different picture. Quotations: any military operation is a test, but such destruction, such devastation, I've already seen a lot, but there is nothing like this. These are extremely difficult events, said the Israeli mayor of Rishon LeZion, Mr. Raz Kinstead. Subsequently, Tehran adhered to proven tactics, combined strikes with missiles and drones. Iranian troops have at their disposal a lot of such weapons that can reach Israel. Only within the framework of the current confrontation was the use of medium-range ballistic missiles, the Hajj Qasem, the Heiba Shakan, Imad, and Gadar, was reported. At the same time, Tehran claimed that in the first days only rockets of previous generations were used, and the turn has not yet reached the most advanced developments. We are talking about the Fatah missile, which is positioned as a hypersonic weapon. Its first application on the night of June 16th was reported by the Iranian media agency Tasnim. In quotations, these missiles easily passed through Israel's missile defense systems and hit targets in Tel Aviv and Haifa, the article says. Israel's air defense has long been considered almost invulnerable. It combines several echelons. The Iron Beam is a laser system for the destruction of missiles and ammunition, in particular artillery and mortar shells. Iron Dome is a tactical, short-range air defense capable of hitting targets at a distance of up to 150 kilometers. It is mainly used to protect against Hezbollah and Hamas strikes. The David Sling is an average link for countering operational tactical missile systems with a range of up to 300 kilometers. Then there's the American Patriot and THAAD complexes of ballistic and cruise missiles of any range. Also, to fight drones, according to the Wall Street Journal, Israel used the Barak Magen air defense system for the first time. In addition to these echelons, the IDF can use the Air Force. They were also used to strike launchers. In West Jerusalem, they claim that about 30% of Iranian complexes have already been destroyed. This information was not confirmed in Tehran.
The military and how they used it to defend their country.
The IRGC published a video showing the defeat of one of the Israel air defense installations. The Iranians are sure that they forced the installations to attack each other. The IDF did not comment on these shots in any way. Apparently, the scenario of further confrontation is clear. Iran will rely on missiles and UAVs. Israel will rely on the Air Force. However, the IDF will be more difficult. The Iranian air defense is gradually recovering. Tehran even claims that the planes were shot down, although it does not provide convincing evidence. At the same time, civilians suffer from both sides. In Iran, the total death toll is more than 220 people. More than 1,200 were injured. There are more than 20 victims and more than 700 wounded in Israel. The main goal declared by the Israeli leadership is the destruction of the Iranian nuclear program. However, despite 3 days of bombing, it is difficult to assess the damage. According to the IAEA Director, General Rafael Grossi, only 4 buildings at the nuclear facility Isfahan were damaged. In quotations, the level of radiation outside the territory remained unchanged and is in the normal range, which indicates the absence of external radiological impact on the population or the environment. Inside the object, there is both radiological and chemical pollution, he said. Earlier, Grossi also reported that the above-ground part of the plant, where enriched up to 60% of uranium was produced, was destroyed in Natanz. There are no signs of damage, however, to the underground infrastructure. In fact, in an article published in Defense Security Asia, relying on an interview between the IAEA Director, General Rafael Grossi, and the Financial Times of the United States, Grossi said that, and I quote, "The most sensitive things are half a mile underground, about 800 meters. I have been there many times," adding, "To get there, you have to take a spiral tunnel down, down, down." Grossi underscored that while Iran does not yet possess a nuclear weapon, it has already stockpiled enough enriched material to move dangerously close to that threshold. Here is an extract from his interview. The Islamic Republic's nuclear program is distributed across multiple fortified sites, meaning any preemptive military strike would need to simultaneously target a broad range of facilities to achieve meaningful degradation. At the center of Iran's enrichment effort lie 2 hardened sites: the Natanz fuel enrichment plant, located around 3 stories underground, and the Fordow facility, which is buried even deeper within a mountain, both designed to resist aerial bombardment. While Israel's arsenal includes 5,000-pound bunker buster munitions Analysts argue that these would be insufficient against the deeply entrenched Fordo site without a sustained and coordinated air campaign. Only the United States, with its 30,000-pound massive ordnance penetrator currently deployed on B-2 stealth bombers, can credibly threaten such deeply buried targets, a fact that has gained renewed relevance with the recent movement of B-2 aircraft to Diego Garcia in the Indian Ocean. Israel, he says, doesn't have enough 5,000-pounders, noted retired U.S. Air Force General Charles Wald, now with the Jewish Institute for the National Security of America, highlighting that any solo Israeli action would be slow, complex, and far less effective. Wald noted that a joint US-Israeli operation would have a greater chance of success, although even that would not eliminate Iran's nuclear ambitions outright and could take several days to execute. The US Air Force's forward positioning of B-2 bombers capable of deploying MOPs against ultra-hardened targets serves as a calculated strategic message to Tehran, a reminder of the options on the table should diplomacy fail. However, nuclear analysts caution that even a powerful strike could only set back, not eliminate, Iran's nuclear capabilities. A strike by the United States could probably cause more damage than an Israeli strike, but in either case, you're talking about buying time. There's a real risk that it drives Iran toward rather than away from a bomb, said Eric Brewer of the Nuclear Threat Initiative and former US intelligence analyst. Experts widely agree that military force could delay Iran's progress, but cannot erase the scientific knowledge of domestic industrial base behind its nuclear program. What happens the day after? Iran responds to attacks on its nuclear program by hardening its facilities and expanding its program, says Kelsey Davenport of the Arms Control Association, noting that efforts to prevent reconstruction would be extremely resource intensive. Another goal of the IDF is to remove the ruling Ayatollah regime. However, there is a possibility that the effect will be the opposite. External pressure and the effectiveness of retaliatory strikes only mobilize Iranian society. At the same time, the situation may change in Israel itself due to the growing number of deaths. In quotations, at the center of the Israeli-Iranian conflict has always been a delicate balance between regime security and national security. Netanyahu seeks to escalate tensions because of his internal vulnerability, while on the opposite, Iran feels the need to limit the conflict for the same reason. At the next stages, positions may change as the first results are visible, said Turkish political analyst Mehmet Akif Onur. The diplomatic settlement, in turn, is complicated by one circumstance. The United States, with which Iran negotiated, supported Israel's actions. If the states intervene, strikes from both sides may become more massive, and the number of victims will increase many times. Now, from the pro-Iranian perspective, Israel's Operation Rising Lion was a strategic miscalculation. Here is a report from the Cradle Company on the recent events. Tel Aviv, they say, has mistakenly assumed its Lebanon strategy was scalable. Several miscalculations undermine its copy-paste plan to decapitate Iran's leadership. First, Iran's military command is vast, experienced, and rapidly replaceable. Unlike Hezbollah, a non-state actor with more limited resources, Iran maintains depth and redundancy across its armed forces. Brigadier General Abolfazi Shakachi pointed to this capacity, dismissing Israeli assumptions that a few assassinations could cripple national defense. Second, geography matters. Iran's sheer size allows the strategic dispersal of critical assets. Israeli jets may have briefly penetrated key western nodes, but much of Iran's infrastructure remains embedded in its eastern and central territories. The state's military doctrine is built around such depth. Third, while Israel's intelligence apparatus did succeed in penetrating Iranian command circles, it did not achieve full-spectrum dominance. The Islamic Republic retains the capacity for counterintelligence operations, and in the days since the attack, internal security has reportedly dismantled multiple espionage cells, which caused most of the recent explosions. But perhaps Tel Aviv's gravest misjudgment lay in its reading of Iran's internal cohesion. Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu appeared to believe that a sudden external strike would activate opposition forces within Iran, unleashing separatists, militants, and government critics to destabilize the state. This calculation has an equally ill-informed precedent. Former Iraqi President Saddam Hussein made a similar error in the 1980s when it invaded or attempted to invade Iran. But Iran's political unity in the face of external threats has been repeatedly demonstrated. Even segments of society critical of the Islamic Republic have closed ranks when faced with foreign aggression. It is a nationalism forged not from state propaganda, but from the collective memory of wars, invasions, and isolation. Tel Aviv has in 3 short days killed 224 Iranian nationals, the majority civilians, and reduced several residential buildings to rubble. That level of provocation has consequences. In this conflict, Iran's deterrence is not only military, it is social. But as of now, the situation remains fluid. Tel Aviv's campaign has triggered a rapid Iranian response, both in rhetoric and in kind. But more than that, it has exposed the limits of Israel's military doctrine when applied to a state actor with deep and even unknown defenses and a mobilized population. But Tehran has drawn its line, as Iranian Defense Minister Aziz Azizadeh warned in the immediate aftermath of the Israeli strikes, in quotations, "We are fully prepared and will support our operational forces in any way we can. We are ready for years of continued combat, and the armed forces are fully equipped." As with any conflict, outcomes remain uncertain. Yet whether this spirals into a wider war or stalls into another frozen regional standoff depends less on Israel and more on whether the US is willing to follow Tel Aviv into the fire.